Kathy is a long-standing supporter of organ donation and transplantation. She is our executive champion in this, and when we go out to that flagpole outside today at the end of this celebration, we have Kathy and hospital leadership to thank for that wonderful effort. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ms. Kathy Gorman.
Thank you. Is this one work or is just this one?
Yeah.
Sure, just this one? Okay, thanks. All right, yeah. Okay, no, thank you, thank you. Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here today on this very, very important day as we celebrate, really, our Linking Hands program, which is our opportunity to celebrate life, right? It's how we celebrate life. A very special thanks to our clinicians, our colleagues and partners at WRTC, and most important to our patients and our families who are with us here today, both our donors and our transplant recipients. A special thanks to Dr. Carrillo, Christy, thank you so much. Gail Gilmore, Gail, thank you. And Jackie Forbes, who also helps a lot with the regulatory piece, and all of our clinicians who support this very important program. So today is an opportunity to take a pause and celebrate the immense impact of our transplant program. And as we think about how we come together and support each other in our community with partners all around. The program is called Linking Hands. And Linking Hands is to celebrate the connection between our donor families or organ recipients and our patients on the waiting list, WRTC staff, and Children's National staff who are the staff who care for our patients and families every day. The care that we deliver to our patients and our families is extraordinary care. We know that. But for this small subset and critically important patient population that we deliver care to every day, our transplant program and what we do is a game changer for our kids. It's a game changer. And if we do it right, we change the story in their book of life. Right? We change the story in how they're going to respond. And when you take a step back and think about the national statistics, it's really daunting about these numbers that I'm about to talk about. The need for transplants, more than 115,000 men, women, and children are on a waiting list for organ transplants. So, as a statistic that I saw, even the largest football stadium in the United States could not hold 115,000 patients and families. Every 10 minutes, another person is added to the national transplant waiting list. Every 10 minutes. There are 8,000 deaths that occur every year in the United States because organs are not donated in time. 8,000. 22 people die each day because the organ they need is not donated in time. And 82% of patients waiting are in need of a kidney. And if you happen to be a donor today, you could potentially save up to 8 lives. 8 lives, imagine that. So behind each one of these numbers is a person, right? It's a patient, it's a family, and a story that has been told, or if they're a child, it's a story that's about to be told. And we have an opportunity to change that story. We have an opportunity to make sure that that child has their first birthday, or graduates from high school, or goes to prom, or is able to carry on their life into an adult world. We have an opportunity to change that story, and that's what today is all about. So these are incredibly powerful statistics, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Children's National and what we're doing to actually reduce these numbers just over the past year and changing that storyline for our patients and our families. So, in 2017, we had 6 heart transplants. Is that right, Dr. Berger? And we had 21 kidney transplants. Is that right, Dr. Modhill? Just this year alone, we've already had 2 transplants to our cardiac transplants, and we've had 6 kidney transplants alone in 2018. can do, because there are still 10 candidates that are waiting on our heart transplant list. Dr. Berger says yes. And we have 21 candidates that are waiting on our kidney transplant wait list at Children's National. I want to just point out for a minute about our kidney transplant program. And although we have 21 candidates waiting here, our kidney transplant program has become one of the world-renowned programs in this country. They have reduced the median days for a donor kidney transplant from 238 days, that's nationally, to 112 days, which is amazing. Truly, truly amazing. I want to give a call out to Dr. Modgill and Dr. Moxie Mims for their leadership in making a difference at a faster pace than any other program in the country, and they're changing the story of the lives of our kids. They're changing the outcome. So together we can continue to change the story by coming together in our community, advocating for this cause, and creating more opportunities for donation just by creating awareness. So I want to thank you for all you do, to our frontline clinicians, to our partners, to our patients, and our families. Thank you for making such a difference. And now it gives me great pleasure and privilege to invite Dr. Berger to the podium. And Dr. Berger is our medical leader of our cardiac transplant program, and he knows each and every one of these cases intimately and personally. Dr. Berger, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, thank you everybody for giving me the opportunity to speak about our heart transplant program. Heart transplantation started here at Children's National in 1989, and to date we have transplanted 70 people, or 70 children since that time. I've had the honor of being affiliated with the program for the last 18 years in various capacities, and currently I'm the medical director. So, heart transplant is a rare event. There are only about 400 pediatric heart transplants a year, compared to about 4,000 adults per year in the United States. So we're one of the smaller transplant programs. As Kathy alluded to, we performed 6 transplants here last year, and we, in the last 5 years, have performed about 6 to 8 per year. Our survival for heart transplant is now around 80% at 5 years, which makes us on par with some of the lower risk cancers. We are striving to make that number much higher. And it takes a lot of work. So currently in the United States, there are 377 children on the waiting list. As Kathy alluded to, we have 10 here, but that's part of the story. There are 31 children in our region, including Maryland, DC, and Virginia. That's one of the important things about heart transplant. Even though we only perform 6 or 8 here, hearts travel all over the United States when they're donated. And that's because children come in all sorts of different sizes. And of any child of a particular size, whether they're a baby or a toddler or a preschooler, there aren't that many donors and there aren't that many recipients. So even if a donation occurs here, that heart might travel to St. Louis, Philadelphia, New York City, or Boston. So making it donation an important contribution across the country. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. What's important about heart transplantation is the stories that we have with them. I've had the opportunity to see patients grow up, go to school, join the Boy Scouts, go to scout camp, do anything they want at scout camp except scuba diving. And eventually, I've actually had a couple of patients now graduate from high school, go to college, and one's even been married. So I think this is a tremendous gift that everybody should participate in, and we really appreciate our donors. And now I'd like to introduce Austin Lee, a pediatric kidney recipient. Oops, sorry. I went out of order. When I looked at my name was, now I'd like to introduce Asha Magdo, who's the director of our pediatric transplant program, kidney transplant program.
Hello. Hi, my name is Asha Madgil. I am the pediatric kidney transplant doctor. I love taking care of these children, and few of my children are here today. So, kidney transplant affects a lot of children in this country. We have 21 children waiting for transplant. We did 21 transplants last year, so 21 more people got added to the list. We have been doing kidney transplants in this hospital since 1984. And I have been associated with this program for the past 18 years. I want to thank everyone. Thank you, WRTC. We have been partnering with WRTC for so many years. It changes the life of some of our children. I want some of our children to come. Lindsay, come on. Abby, come on. Austin. These are my children. These are my children. Austin has been here since he was an infant, and now he's a young man. Austin would like to say a few words. Here you go. Yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah, I had to go and get these papers right here. It's just some stuff I typed in on here that I want to share with you guys today about my transplant story. As you know, I've been a patient here since I was 4 years old, up until about the age of 24. I'm 29 now. My name is Austin Lee, and I'm a two-time kidney transplant recipient from Clinton, Maryland. I was originally born in Frankfurt, Germany, due to my father being stationed there in the military. I was born with kidney disease, end-stage renal disease, so kidney disease has always been a part of my journey in life. When I was born, I had to have both of my native kidneys removed. Due to both of my kidneys being non-functioning, I had to undergo peritoneal dialysis pretty much from birth until about 4 years old. My life was saved when my lovely mother, she gave me the gift of life and decided to get tested and was a perfect match to donate her first kidney to me. And now she has one kidney, and as I say, you can share your spare, why not, if you have two. I wouldn't be here today. My first transplanted kidney went on to last for 14 years. I was able to live a healthy lifestyle and enjoy my childhood and most of my teenage years with friends and family. Towards the end of my senior year of high school in 2007, my life changed when I began to feel very ill after returning from a family trip to Florida. Now I want to say, growing up in elementary school, middle school, and I want to say to about 10th, 11th grade, I really wasn't the biggest person to really share my story and everything like that. I really wasn't into I really kind of kept everything private because my friends looked at me I was just a normal person, and they had no idea that I had a kidney transplant, and I had it when I was 4 years old. So, I felt like most of the worst things that happened to me in my life happened to me when I was younger. So, as I was saying, I have returned from a family trip from Florida. I had previously been feeling very fatigued during my trip to Florida, but I didn't think much of it. I remember staying home from school one day, and I just felt that there was something wrong going on in my body. I had no idea that, my kidney was failing on me. My mother then took me to the hospital emergency room where tests were ran, and the unbelievable was happening, that my first transplanted kidney was showing major signs of rejection. My life from there had made a drastic change going into kidney failure for the second time. And actually, when I made a decision to go to the hospital, because when I was, younger, through my teenage 16 to about 17, 18 years old, I tried to just, it's a thing in my life to just keep going no matter what, no matter what's stopping you. But I knew something was going wrong then and there with the first transplanted kidney. I just felt like something wasn't right, and I knew that I was really getting sick. So when I checked into the emergency room at Andrews Air Force Base, it was so bad that they actually had to like airlift me to here at Children's because my kidney was like really going down fast. And I was in complete disbelief and shock as to what was going on. I was diagnosed with acute renal failure, which would lead to me having to start dialysis for the second time and begin the process of being listed for a second kidney transplant. Now I could not believe like what was going on with me. I'm just like, and when I still remember when I first like went into dialysis, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is why like I really give a lot of praise to these children here that are going through dialysis. You kids are like really the heroes, you know, and you go through so much. And you know, I honor each and every one of you. Waiting for a second transplant was emotional and took much patience from me and my family. I was anxious at the thought of receiving another kidney because I knew how it once felt to have a kidney transplant where I could live a life free from the restrictions that dialysis put on my body and my family and my lifestyle. I wanted to be listed or find a match as soon as I could. I even had dreams of life with the kidney transplant. Yes, like I even like went to sleep and had like dreams of like receiving a kidney transplant because like I would go on YouTube and I would look up like videos of other people like getting kidney transplants, and like that just kind of like inspired me. I was like, wow, like I just can't wait like to get my life back and just, you know, and be healthy again. I wanted to be listed or find a match, like I said, as soon as I could. I decided to get listed at both Children's National and Johns Hopkins Medical Center. I underwent peritoneal dialysis for the second time in my life for 3 years as I waited for that special call, as they say, to come in. Soon that call would come in, and I can remember to this day what I was doing when I finally received that special call. It was late May of 2010 when I had just gotten back from a family reunion in Alabama. I had received a voicemail from my former transplant coordinator saying there was some great news for me. Now, like, I believe I had received a call maybe about 6 months before that, but it didn't work out. Like there was an individual who was like possibly a possible match for me, but it just didn't work out for me. And that kind of I really got down on myself about that because like, you know, when you're just like ready to get off of dialysis and you're just ready to get this kidney transplant and get back to your lifestyle, you're just like, oh, I just need this kidney now. I need it now so I can, you know, live my life and be able to encourage others. But I knew in due time that it was going to come. And you just have to be patient. Like it's a lot of things like you just have to be patient and just wait your turn because your time is coming. Like I said, I had not put much thought or did not want to get my hopes up if this possibly being the call that I had anxiously been waiting for. Now I thought like maybe my labs or something was good, or like, you know, just maybe I had been doing something right that my transplant coordinator just wanted to call me and tell me about. I had no idea that it was actually the call. It was so amazing because I had just told my mother on the last day of my trip going through airport security with the machine that I hope this was the last time I have to go on a trip and do dialysis. Now you know about going through airport security when it's like packed and everything, and you just have people waiting behind you and you got to take out this big old dialysis machine and get it checked and everything like that. And I was tired of doing that. I was tired of going on trips and altering, you know, my schedule for everybody else, and everybody else having to alter their schedule for me. Like I felt the call was coming in the earlier months leading up to that as I prayed and prayed every day for this to happen. So then I proceeded to call my transplant coordinator back as I was nervous, excited, and all my emotions were just all over the place. As I called back, my transplant coordinator informed me that there was a possible match for me and that I could receive a kidney in the next few weeks via a kidney paired exchange program that would take place on June 8th, 2010. Now that is when I was the youngest person in a pool of 14 people to receive a kidney transplant. So my donor wanted to give to someone in her church, but she didn't match him, so I got in that pool and she matched me. And there were people from all over the United States who got kidneys on that day. And my surgeon, who you all probably know, Dr. Keith Melanson, he's at GW. He performed my kidney surgery here at Children's. I'm forever grateful and cannot thank my angel, Miss Stella Christian, my second kidney donor, who made the most unselfish decision to give me the gift of life through kidney donation. My plans for the future are to become a child life specialist. And I want to continue to make a difference not only in the transplant community, but in the life of all children and people all around the world. Now, like originally I had different type of goals of like working in the medical field. People always told me, it was like, oh, you know, you have experience with having a kidney transplant and you know, but you never really truly understand what you really want to do. And it wasn't until like I got in the field of like early childhood development that I wanted to give back and to become a child life specialist, because I realized like I'm really good with like redirecting kids and things of that nature. And I just want to share some things that I've accomplished since being inside of the 8 years that I've had my kidney transplant. So come June 8th of this year, it'll be 8 years that I'll be celebrating. But for one, I've participated in 5 transplant games, and I've won a gold medal in cycling, and I've won a bronze in basketball. In 2014, I received the Volunteer Excellence Award from Children's National, and I have over 450 hours volunteering. I also volunteer at Georgetown University Medical Center in their Child Life program, and I have won a Spirit Award for providing patient excellence and going above and beyond to provide the best service to patients and families. And I'm also a recipient of the NBC4 2017 Black History Month Working for You in a Community Award for my volunteer work with spreading organ donation. And last year in 2017, I won the Volunteer of the Year Award from Washington Regional Transplant Community, and I won their Donate Life Volunteer of the Year Award. As of right now, I'm currently working in child care with infants and toddlers and studying early childhood development at the University of District of Columbia. And like I said, I want to become a child life specialist. And I really like to work with pediatric patients who have, gone through, similar, health complication as I have gone through with kidney transplants. And I just want to say, like, to be up here right now after 8 years is a true definition of what organ donation can really do for an individual. I mean, I really never thought I would be at this point, like, speaking and seeing my old doctors, my old child life specialists, and to be a volunteer for so many organizations is just amazing. And I just want to say that God has truly blessed my life. He really has. And I just want to carry out whatever He has for me to do, and just continue to spread awareness, continue to share my story. Everyone has a story. Everyone's going through something, and I just want to say I'm right there with you, and just to never give up hope, just to keep going, and just keep striving. I mean, life, it's a marathon, so you gotta take your time. You gotta. Just keep on going through it, and you'll get to where you need to go. And I mean, even though like people feel like I have done so much to this day, there's still so much that I still want to do, and it's possible with receiving a kidney transplant. So thank you so much.
So how do you follow that, right? Thank you, Austin. What an amazing story, what an amazing journey. Thank you for sharing. Before I introduce our next speaker, I do need to put out a huge shout out to the visionary behind this event, to the woman that made this happen. Sarah Uhouse Schiltz, please stand up. This is all you, girl. Now, she had a couple of partners in crime, and one of her main colleagues in crime is Gail Gilmore. And Kendra Lee. Thank you so much, ladies. This is just so special, and thank you for letting us celebrate this with you all. Kim too. Oh, Kim, where are you? Kim. Yeah, there's Kim, our colleague from WRTC. Speaking of WRTC, they're all out here in full force supporting our efforts, and this is nothing new for WRTC because they are the force behind our wings as we move to improve and educate our colleagues here at Children's, our families around the culture of donation and the benefits of donation. And thank you so much for all your help, WRTC staff. And it is my extreme pleasure to introduce their fearless leader, Ms. Lori Brigham, who's the president and CEO of WRTC. Lori is the visionary behind this wonderful organization, and she allows her people to do great work. And without further ado, Lori.
Thank you, Christy. This is just a brief thank you, really, to a shout out to all the professionals here at Children's National Medical Center. We are very, very blessed to have a wonderful partnership with the team here at Children's, the multidisciplinary donation committee that is really a terrific force here at the hospital to make sure that this process works for our donors and for our recipients. And you can see Austin. Where's Austin again? Thank you, Austin, who tells that story. In a minute you'll hear from John, but you can see how very, very important that process is. And it really does take a village to make all of this work. And so thank you very much to everyone at Children's who are collaborators in this amazing process of donation and transplantation. I also do want to give a shout out to the team at WRTC. Thank you very much for all of your commitment. It's an honor to work with all of you. Children's is also a member of the HHS Workplace Partnership for Life, where they take the opportunity to educate everyone in the hospital about donation and get people to sign up on the registry or their driver's license to be an organ donor, organ, tissue, and eye, to be a donor. So thank you for that, Children's Hospital, and thank you to all of you who have made that decision to be a donor. We do appreciate that, and so does John and Austin and all of our recipients. It is really the opportunity to give life, healing, and hope. And now, before we introduce our next speaker, I just want to show you here, this is Hunter. And our next speaker today is Hunter's mom. She's one of my very favorite people, and I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Tong.
You know, they say before you give a talk, you always give three. One in the shower, the one you actually give, and then the one you wish you give. Well, I had an hour and a half to get here, so this is number 34. I don't know what you're going to get, but here we go. Our story begins 25 years ago on my husband's 65th birthday. We had a little party with different families, with children. They were playing. We have kind of a different house. They were riding bikes and swinging on ropes, but we also have a glass door on the dining room, so they were outside doing all that stuff. They were having fun. It was a birthday party. We let the children stay up late. The next day, Hunter slept in. His 4-year-old sister got up. His 4-month-old sister got up. Well, actually, English, the 4-year-old wasn't there, but we let Hunter sleep in. Finally, about mid-morning, we went and picked him up, and he was limp. We had been checking him all morning, but he was limp, so off to the hospital we go. We're from the Eastern Shore, our hospital's over there. We got flown. We had choices to go to Baltimore and Washington, and we picked Washington, thank goodness, and came here. He was in the ICU. We spent the first night. The doctor said, it's serious. You could be here 10 days. Meningitis got mentioned. The next day, the nurse said, we're going to do some more testing, and we said, okay. We went to the cafeteria, and we waited and we waited and we waited, and finally I said, that's long enough, I'm going to go see what's going on. And I ran into his nurse on the floor, and she had tears in her eyes. That's first bad sign. She said, we're going to have a meeting, and we get gathered in a room, whole lot of people. There were doctors, there were nurses, there were social workers, there was a nun. That's another bad sign. The doctor said, his brain has grown too big, and it is most likely going to be fatal. I screamed. Someone grabbed the 4-month-old. I was nursing. They left us alone to start to process this information. They couldn't pronounce him dead right away because of the medication that he was on, but that was a gift in and of itself because we had time to spend with our son. Our 4-year-old was brought over. Her name is English. She got to say goodbye to her brother. Family came in and friends. Finally on Wednesday, the doctor said that's long enough, and he was pronounced dead, and we left the hospital. Now, if without donation, that would be the end of our story. We had a son, he lived for 2.5 years, and he died. That would be the end. During those 4 days that we were in the hospital, 3 or 4 days, my husband, who is a New Zealand recycler, start from an early age, asked about donation, and from that moment on, the WRTC took our hands, and I've been holding our hands for the past 25 years. Without donation, I would not be standing here today saying my son's name, Hunter. I don't get to do that much anymore, but every time I speak for Lisa or Laurie, that are kind enough to let me speak sometimes, it's delicious to say his name out loud. The people we meet these days don't even know we have had a son. We don't talk about it unless they ask. So we get to say his name. We got the knowledge that something so good can come out of a parent's worst nightmare. Not only did we get that knowledge, but we got to see it firsthand. On the first anniversary of Hunter's death, the parents of Casey, who was the 1-year-old who got Hunter's heart, wrote to us. It took me 7 years to write back. As open as we are about Hunter's death, it just had to be the right moment. We became Christmas card friends, and we stayed in touch that way. My daughter, the one who had been 4 years old, was social friends on the network, whatever they do on the network stuff, and knew his sisters, and she was driving across country. She went to school out west, and she decided that she was going to stop in Topeka, Kansas, and meet this family. Arrangements were made, and she arrived in the hallway of the atrium of their high school, where Casey was playing his saxophone in a recital, and it was very emotional for her. They all surrounded her outside waiting for her. It was a very emotional event for her, and I would imagine it would be because unwittingly the last song they played was Celine Dion's I Will Give You My Heart. On the 24th anniversary of his death, she's not real good at math, she thought it was the 25th. On the 24th anniversary of Hunter's death, English wrote a blog about that experience because it was so emotional for her. Casey's mother got in touch with me and went, "Oh, would you like to meet Casey?" I'd been waiting 24 years to meet Casey. He was 1, so I was not going to impose myself on him. He was a child when he got this heart. I wanted him to make the decision to meet us. So, last summer, they flew from Topeka, Kansas to Washington, and Lisa Coliani, whose job description this does not include, picked them up at the airport, drove them to the Eastern Shore, stayed, because it was wonderful to have her there to introduce us. I was very emotional. She stayed for a quite wild dinner. We got comfortable very quickly and had a wonderful night. She took them to Washington to do a tour. She came back for a jam fest because Casey is a musician. We had a wonderful 4 days. So therefore, Hunter's story continues. That's what I got. That's what we got, my family, out of donation. Thank you.
So I guess we should be including Kleenexes next year. That was quite a story. Thank you, Elizabeth, for taking the time to share that with us. And so I have another opportunity to introduce a nice young man. He's going to be a doctor. But I have the pleasure to introduce he's still Mr. John Hochstein, who is a heart recipient at an early age of 4, and he's here to tell us his story.
Hi everybody, as they said, I'm John, and I had my transplant when I was 4, and now I've been living with my heart recipient, or my heart transplant, for over 19 years. Thank you. Now this wouldn't be possible without all of the staff from the hospitals and WRTC for my story or for any recipient story, or without the family of all recipients, and mine is right there. And of course, without the donor family, who for all of us have made selfless decisions. And to honor them, and to honor all of you guys, and to honor my parents especially. Dad, you're crying, you're gonna make me cry. I'm not gonna look at you. I wanna share with you my story. So when I was 3, I was diagnosed with heart failure, and I spent 4 months in Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, while my parents, my clinical team, and our friends bear the burden of all the stress and uncertainty that comes with illness, me, a 3-year-old, was really just excited to have a lot of attention. And as unlikely as it may seem, I love the hospital, and I have a lot of great memories, which I'm going to share with you. So at Christmas, I remember vividly hearing Santa and his reindeer on the roof. I can go back to that instant right now and be like, that's him, and he went through the hall. So that was really exciting. And then one time, my nurses knew that I did not like getting blood draws. I called them poker people, because I can't say phlebotomists, that's a big word. So they gave me this squirt gun and then wheeled me around the hospital so I could shoot them. Now, I remember also very vividly shooting this one guy who pretended to die and fall out the window. I remember not being that concerned. So that's a little scary, but I was 3. And then I also proposed to my favorite nurse, Rose, with a spider ring. Now, I just learned recently though that the story was a little different than I was told. Apparently, she was always proposing to me saying, would you marry me? I kept saying no for like probably a few months. And then eventually I was like, sounds good. So I was a hot commodity, apparently, this 3-year-old. Too cute. And later, like when I was 9, I was in the hospital once, and this is a fun story for all you kids. I pranked the nurses. I put ketchup on the door and hit the emergency button, and they would run in and have ketchup on their hands. I am so sorry for all the nurses out there. But I thought it was funny. So obviously, I had fun in the hospital. But I was still sick, and at the end of January in 1999, I was put on the transplant waiting list. Shortly after my 4th birthday on February 2nd, which I got an awesome tricycle and a racing suit, which I raced down the halls, I took a turn for the worse and had to be rushed to the ICU, and I was put on a balloon pump. On the evening of February 10th, they weren't sure if I was going to live through the night, but miraculously, a heart became available, and early in the morning on February 11th, 1999, I received my life-saving transplant. My parents tell me how this time was extremely emotional. You know, we felt the joy for me receiving this new chance at life, but knew that tragedy had to strike another family for this even to be an option. Our joy was another's sorrow. This reality instilled within my family, and myself especially as I grew older, a deep sense of gratitude. So that no matter what's going on in my life, whether it be a hard test or heartbreak or, you know, I don't know, parents being kind of annoying, that can happen. or me or whatever. I appreciate the laughter. I always come back to this sense of gratitude that this is a great opportunity just to live life. And inherently within that, there's this deep sense of obligation to, almost cliche, live life to the fullest, but truly to take life in all its glory and all its sorrows and just enjoy it. Because it is very fragile. And after the transplant, I was able to live a relatively normal life. I went to school, I played sports, I even played tackle football in high school. My parents were happy that I wasn't that good, so I was on the bench a lot, but you know, that was fun. I learned to drive, which also was scary for my parents. I remember one time my mom had to take control of the steering wheel. Oh no. We're back, okay. Anyways, learning to drive, I went to my high school prom, I graduated high school, went to college, graduated college, and this past year I was applying to medical school, and overall was able to experience the great joys and sorrows of growing up. From my experiences in the hospital, as you can tell, I love the hospital. It's kind of weird, but I knew from a very early age that my vocation was to work in medicine, and particularly to practice transplant medicine and try and work on improving the field. And also with kids, because I love kids. So for my undergraduate studies, I was blessed to be able to study biomedical engineering at the Johns Hopkins University. And just this past week, I decided that I will be attending Harvard Medical School in the fall. It's official, I'm going to be a doctor. I never had the chance to meet my donor family. I hope someday that something magical will happen, I'll get to meet them, so I can share with them the impact they had on my life. Not just on that physical decision that they made over 19 years ago, but every day. Every single day, that selfless decision affects me on an emotional and spiritual level. Wow. I want to be able to meet them so I can share this with them and just have them become a part of my family, and so I can honor them by giving them one of my transplant Olympic Games gold medals. So I guess I would say in closing that life has been quite the roller coaster for many of us in this room, but for everybody, and just to love, because that's the purpose of life. And when you do that, nothing else matters.
So we're coming. I've never been lost for words. Okay. We're coming to a close in our formal program here, but our most special event, besides hearing from our wonderful families and patients, we're going to be going outside to the flagpole area in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, we're going outside. So at 1:15, 1:15, if we could all meet outside at the flagpoles, maybe 1:10, a little early so we can get ourselves together. Tons of food. Please eat, because reheated hot dogs, not so sure how good they are. Still low calorie though. But I want to tell you a little bit about our flagpole and what that Donate Life flag means to us. As you see up here, we have a Donate Life flag that stays up the entire year. But last year we were able to dedicate an outside Donate Life flag. And that's something that really shows that Children's National supports and lives the culture of donation. And what that flag means when you see it, it either means one of three things. It's either April, and we like to fly it during the month of April, which is National Donate Life Month, or a family has made a decision to donate a precious gift. And so when families make those decisions, they are honored as they honor their child in the flag raising ceremony outside. And oftentimes our staff and friends and families of the patient and parents are out there as those flags get hoisted. The third time you'll see flags raised out there is that we've actually had a life-saving transplant occur here. And that is something that we're very proud of. And again, that's a celebration of life. It's a celebration of all the things we heard about today. It's so powerful. And that is also a family's option to do at the time of transplant or as they're leaving and getting discharged. But somewhere along that path, we have another celebration. So as you think about what this means today to us, that circle, that linking hands, it is making that bridge. We're making that bridge from the act, the selfless act and donation, to that wonderful life-saving gift of transplantation. And you see here, we've got 2 adult examples that those transplants given in childhood or infancy last and create opportunities and have given these wonderful adult people that we heard from today all of that possibility. And so as we think about that, let's be thankful and recognize opportunities that we may have along our way as well to make those differences in our patients' and families' lives. So please enjoy yourselves for a few more minutes, and then we'll see you outside for our linking hands ceremony.